the challenge has always been that network marketing is a hard business. And we try to sell it as an easy business, but it really is not. And people struggle because of that. I mean, because it's marketing. It's not selling, it's marketing. And once you understand that, the whole industry can change for you. A little about me and my family. I'm married to a beautiful woman named Simi Pinnell, and she is the rock in my life. I don't think she realizes sometimes how amazing it is and the gifts that she's given me. You know, having 3 little boys, Watson, Walker, and Wyatt. Wyatt is 9, Walker is 6, and Watson is 4. Don't ask me why we named them with W's. It's a long story, but you know, when you have 3 little men in your lives that you're, you know, running from baseball practice to going fishing to doing that, you got to keep them busy all the time. But you still got to have a career with enough stuff that makes you very successful. And you know, network marketing has always been a challenge for me until we figured it out. I've always been an entrepreneur, always have been. Starting back to even in junior high school when I started a legitimate DJ entertainment company. And I ran that company for, 22 years. And it's amazing. You know, you have that entrepreneurial blood. I even see that in my kids today by just trying to buy and sell and do things and figure out how to make a buck here and there. But early on, I was always driven to be my own and do something that I have to. And you know, the biggest thing about an entrepreneur that I could say is you have to get up in the morning and drive yourself to be better. The challenge of increasing sales and pushing it early on. But you know, I've been kind of blessed, but I've learned a lot through my career. You know, I went to college for 2 years and I dropped out and I said, Dad, I'm going to open a chain of tanning salons. He looked at me like I was literally crazy and went and did that for a couple years. But you know, the industry changed and regulations came down, and you know, the life cycle of that business was over with. So we closed it, and it was a big piece of defeat when you know you had a business that ran well, and then one day it just time to walk away. But that's what an entrepreneur can do. He can get up, shake it off, and say, okay. But at that time, you know, I was still a single guy and didn't have to worry about families and all that kind of food and stuff that we need today. And so I went to corporate America and did that for nearly 10 years. Built a heck of a company, but I learned something, you know, through my corporate America experience. You know, my wife and I, we had 2 kids, and you know, was living really well. You know, I was this national sales manager for a company and just rocking it completely. And but it all changed one day. You know, I got a phone call. I can remember this. I was sitting down in the morning and I got a phone call, and it wasn't a scheduled conference call, but there was a lot of people on the call. And all of a sudden, you know, we kind of knew some acquisitions was going to take place, but they said, you know, Ryan, here's your package. Thank you for your services. You know, we're talking a pretty heavy salary, and it changed overnight like that. Everything you had built, you come and work for a company and be a top producer and build a multi-million-dollar department, and it just changes because, hey, we're selling the company and your department's going to be dismantled. And it kind of told me, like, you're never really in charge of your destiny if you're working in corporate America. And with that, it taught me a life lesson that nobody's going to hold what's the right word? My future over their head. I'm going to have full control of my life. And ever since that, I have. So I went back to my entrepreneurial roots and started another company that I've been running now for the last 8 years. It's done very well. You know, it's had its struggles like any business, but it's there and it's provided for my family, and you know, we're constantly growing on and adding more things to it. But I've always been drawn to network marketing, and I've honestly had a secondary career in it as well. My first exposure to network marketing is kind of funny. I remember being in college, actually. I think it was my freshman year. I had just gotten out of high school, and they recruited me to come to this meeting, and everybody's dressed in suits, and it was the first taste of being in like big game. And it starts with an A, and I think everybody cuts their teeth on that one back, at least at that time. And it was a learning lesson. I went through that and I failed miserably. I followed what my uplines were saying and stuff like that. And what's funny about it is I failed at 8 other network marketing companies over the next 15 years. Some of them were because I liked the product, some of them were just cool. But I've always been drawn to the industry. Maybe it was because as an entrepreneur, I didn't have that leverage or that push or that kick that you get from corporate America to keep you fueled. I've always said to people, if you get in network marketing, it's the greatest self-help or leadership program that no college or anything could ever develop. And it's always kind of been my backbone, even though I failed at it for what, 15 years? I mean, how many people fail at something for 15 years and still in it? I'm one of them. And excuse me. And it was there. I tried everything. Friends, family, walking down the street, going door to door. And I was just following the same exact thing. The one common denominator I learned after 8 network marketing companies was everyone teaches the same thing. Make a list, go to your friends, try to sell them. And it had gotten kind of comical because my good friends had kind of like, what's the flavor this month or this year or whatever. And even today I still have them like, oh, you'll be out of that in 6 months. And they didn't really get it until I figured it out to do it, but something kept drawing me into this and I could never figure out exactly what it is. And I think it was just the fact that you get mentorship, leadership, and it kind of takes some of that for the times when you're working there, going to the meetings and stuff like that. It kind of fuels you a little bit. Then my wife got sick, and she had some. It was nothing very major, but it was enough to cause a change in her lifestyle for sure. And I kind of sent her to many different doctors and trying to figure out, what was the best course of action for what she had. And, she was taking everything from her hair falling out and stuff like that. And we come across something that I saw right when they were opening that was some game changer in a certain industry. And I was like, I always knew MLM had really good products, but I was like, I had never had a story. Like they always say, you're gonna have a story. And so, I ordered some stuff for my wife to try, and it made a drastic difference in her life. It really did help her in many ways. And that's how I got into where I'm at today. But I said, if we're gonna get back into this game, because I kind of said, I'm done with this and I'm never doing it again. And this is 2 years ago. And I said, I'm gonna do it differently this time. I through the 8 years, I had made some really good friends, and I had learned some really good concept from the best of the best in the industry. But I said, we're gonna approach this completely differently. We're gonna approach it like a real company with everything you need in it to really grow a business from the right way. And we're gonna market a product. We're not gonna do it going to meetings and belly to belly. We're going to utilize technology to our advantage. And so I set out on a quest, and I literally interviewed and spoke to many top multi-millionaire producers in the industry. And not in any one specific MLM, but I did it in a lot of different groups. And I learned some things. One thing I did learn is nobody's playing in the internet market. There's a select few of us that are in there that are really grasping the concepts of taking a product through a system and having leads come to you and all that kind of stuff. And so I set up what is today is because I knew that traditional network model was dead. The days of going out there, making a list, sharing it with your friends, doing all this stuff, it just doesn't work anymore. I mean, there's a place for it. You still have to have relationship. It's still a relationship business, but in the beginning, to drive traffic to you, you can't cover enough ground to make the money you need to any other way. You're spinning your wheels. And you know, I say that, and I might offend a lot of people saying that, but working it this way is 10 times better than the other. So I said, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna forget the traditional model. It's done. And I went out and on a quest to learn from the best of the best in the industry, taking my standard SEO implementation. And I mean, I spent a lot of money into my main company that I run daily on learning SEO and how to take a product. And I was learning one thing, that a lot of these people that are coming in are charging astronomical amounts of money and can't produce results. And I knew I was a great sales guy, and I knew I could learn how to do something. So I said, that's it. I'm gonna learn from the best. So I went out there and I looked at a zillion courses. A lot of it was junk. Some of it didn't have some weight that it was even written on. The paper wasn't even worth it was written on. So I got out there and we came up with a system now of everything that we've learned and how to employ. We're developed now into a system. It's called the Network Freaking Marketing System. And it's a way to really, really, really have leads come to you. I mean, imagine waking up every day and seeing 5, 10, 15, 25 leads or 100 leads a month that are pre-qualified and ready to rock and roll coming in each month. The power of that is huge. And there's no way you can prospect any faster and reach more masses than the system we've created. Because even if you're the best of the best, you can only dial so many numbers or talk to so many people per day. The replication of what we've done and designed is crazy. And I'm really wanted to just hit that home, that it's pretty epic what we're onto. And the future's gonna be really amazing. So it's pretty cool.